Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to our processing call to work on whatever you want to work on together today using inner reconciliation, EFT, guided meditation, whatever feels right for you based on what comes up. So today's call is going to be approximately 90 minutes long. At least that's what the one today was. We'll kind of base it on that. Raise your hand early so I can pace the time. So go ahead and raise your hand and I will know you want to work together. That will give me a sense of how long to spend with each of you. You can also submit via the Q&A button if you just want to ask a question that you would like a little bit of processing through or something to work with, but you might want to take the opportunity to speak together live if it's available to you. So the replay is always, well, it says always, usually on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to put today's up on YouTube as it got a little personal for some people, but it's always there, at least for right now, inside the Facebook group, which you can see here. The Facebook group is there where this is streaming live to, as well as a bunch of other stuff that happens. There's a YouTube channel that a lot of these do go on, as well as some other things, hopefully more in the future. And there's a blog where there's some things I write, and actually one of the conversations in the call today was about one of the articles there, and there's some back and forth there. So feel free to check that out, and I do give away a 30-minute session to somebody who engages in the comments section there. It's all on innerworkcoach.com. If you get value from these calls and you ever want to donate, any small amount helps. You know, me and my girlfriend get some dinner or something. That would be awesome. But it's also used to support more calls and classes and content. So if you ever feel like doing that, there's the link, innerworkcoach.com/donate. And lastly, if you do want to work together with a private session, they are discounted until tomorrow afternoon pretty steeply. And that is an old description that was more in March. uh, Luckily, some music is coming back. It's still far from what it was. But let's stop this share. And we've got a couple hands up. So great. And if anyone else thinks they might want to work today, go ahead and raise your hand in case you didn't see that. Okay, cool. We got 3 so far. Fantastic. All right, Meryl, I'm going to bring you up here. And you should be able to unmute yourself.
Good morning, Evan.
Hey, I guess it's morning there. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, it is. Good, pretty good. I just realised this morning I was reading something on GP's Post, and I realised I've got a negative attachment to being poor, or not, or being, to not standing out. And I was sitting here for, say, half an hour doing some work on it, and every time I think of me being well off, prosperous, or just happy, really, I get this scared feeling. And and I thought, oh, for heaven's sake. And so of course the universe is saying, yep, you've got a negative attachment. Done. So
okay, so starting from, let's not assume that's how it works for a moment.
All right.
And I mean, I don't know how to prove that's what's happening.
Yeah. Well, it feels like that's what it is.
Or, but I mean that a universe is saying, okay, this is, let's just start with what you're experiencing. So, even like when you say to me, I have a negative attachment to being poor, I don't know exactly what that means in terms of how you feel that and what negative attachment necessarily means. So if we can dig into that a little bit, I feel like I might be able to be a little bit more helpful in terms of what when you say I have a negative attachment, like what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? Do you feel like you mean like you feel a comfort in being poor, like you feel attached to that feeling or identity or something like that?
I don't think I feel attached to being poor, but I get, when I think of stepping out of where I am I get very nervous. I and right now I feel quite like I'm going to be sick.
Okay.
I feel, yeah. Does that help?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. I mean that's that's the meat of what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying any of that stuff is inaccurate or isn't true. It's just it's easier for me to just go into, okay, what are you feeling and how is it being experienced to you? So
Yeah.
that even that feeling of being sick for a moment, and feel free to
Yeah.
back off from whatever direction you feel you're moving in that feels like it might be a little bit overwhelming, and go ahead and like reverse engineer it a little bit. That feeling of when you say move into a different, what was a different direction, or change in some way.
Well, when I think of having money
Okay.
and being, yeah,
So as soon as you start to think of having money, what are some of the things that you're picturing and imagining?
mm, just being able to buy what I want, go where I want, um, be safe, I think.
Okay.
Um, just if I decide, well, I want to go for dinner one night, not immediately look at how much money I've got and what I can have when I'm out,
Hmm.
and not go for the cheapest thing on the menu because it's a couple of dollars cheaper than what I'd really like,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And always look for the specials.
So would it be right to say a consistent thing there is like the increased feeling of freedom?
Yes, yes, yes,
So okay. And as you start to imagine or feel into having some of that flexibility, is that when the sick feeling starts to arise?
yes.
Okay. So let's pause at the feeling of even starting to imagine having some more flexibility or freedom,
Mm, mm,
and take money away from the equation and just
okay.
see if even that triggers a similar type of experience for you. Pretend money stopped existing, for example, and suddenly you were just granted a free pass.
No, I don't feel it when you say it that way.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Now, as soon as money is involved, it changes the dynamic.
the dynamic, yeah. Because at the moment I'm doing a lot of free stuff and I love it.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's look really specifically at money then. When that when that is the tool or mechanism through which, is it the act of exchanging something for freedom? The fact that you have less of it after you use it.
yes,
Okay. So free means you don't have to give anything out. You don't have to lose anything.
yeah, yeah. Free, lovely and light and airy.
Mm. Now, is it only trading money, or if you had to trade something else or trade your time, does that have a similar quality, or is it just money?
Mm. That's got a bit of a nervous thing, but nothing like the other, just a little edge on it.
Okay. And how scarce does money feel to you?
Feels scarce.
Okay. And how significant to your survival does it feel to you?
It feels like I have to hold in really tightly to survive.
Okay, good. So now we're kind of getting into where the act of having to exchange any of that creates this sort of anxiety and
Yeah.
feeling to the point of sickness almost.
Yeah.
So without trying to push yourself into a feeling of sickness, right? Just start tapping and just say to yourself, money is really scarce.
Money is really scarce.
And what does that bring up for you, and how intense of a feeling is that?
It's a uncomfortable feeling in the tummy,
Mm-hmm.
in the solar plexus, and it's sort of a rigidity in my body.
Okay. Now, what is the downside if you had more money? And just kind of feel into the answer, because part of you goes, well, then that would be great. But is there any internal resistance or any perhaps surprising answers that come up that is averse to actually having more of it? It's okay if there's not, too. It's just a check.
I don't know. It just, my mind's just gone, blah, blah, blah.
So it's not clear?
No, I'm not getting an answer. There was a feeling of not even responsibility, depending on how much it is. But I'm not feeling scared of having money at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I suppose if somebody dropped $1 billion on me, I'd be terrified.
Okay. So it's not giving you a clear answer, but it's not a calm, peaceful
No, it's
stillness
still
about having more money. It's a more of a cloudy,
yeah,
ambiguous.
it's almost conditional. Oh, it depends on how much you've got. If it was another 20,000, or you could pay off all your bills, that'd be great. But
Okay, that's useful. Is it okay if it's just enough to pay your bills?
yeah, that would be super.
Okay. Interesting. So it's accepting of that.
Yeah.
How far beyond that is okay?
Oh, maybe 10 or 20,000, maybe, because I've
Okay.
got a mortgage, and a loan.
So even that 10 and 20,000 still is sort of accounted for?
Yeah. Well, no, that's with paying off my mortgage loan. If I had a bit over that, that'd be nice. But, about just in the bank.
Hmm. What if you start getting into the territory of, it's just for me to enjoy? What's the
Yeah,
response
just
to that?
if it's not too much, it seems to be okay.
Okay. Okay. Now we've got a conflict, right? Now we've got something we can really sink our teeth into here. So, you want to do some tapping on it, or do you have any other
Yep, yep.
preferences of choice? Okay, cool. So let's do a little tapping on it. So, the side of the hand. Even though I have this conflict with money,
Even though I have this conflict with money,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have this conflict with money,
Even though I have this conflict with money,
I'm not allowed to have very much,
I'm not allowed to have very much,
but I'm also scared of how scarce it is.
but I'm also scared of how scarce it is.
So I'm not allowed to want a lot,
So I'm not allowed to want a lot,
but I feel like I really need more.
but I feel like I really need more.
And so even though I'm wrestling with this conflict,
Even though I'm wrestling with this conflict,
I choose to love and forgive myself.
I choose to love and forgive myself.
So even though I have this conflict with money,
Even though I have this conflict with money,
money's really, really scarce.
money's really, really scarce.
And part of me says we need more of it.
And part of me says we need more of it.
But another part really has the brakes on.
But the other part really has breaks me.
Yeah, you can only have so much.
You can only have so much.
Maybe enough to pay your bills.
Maybe enough to pay your bills.
But we definitely can't let any more than that in.
We definitely can't let any more than that in.
So one part is seeking it,
So one part is seeking it,
another part is defending against it,
another part is defending against it.
but to spend any of it
But to spend any of it
feels threatening to my very life.
feels threatening to my very life.
And so even though I'm dealing with all of this with money,
Even though I'm doing all of it with money,
I choose to love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love, honour, and accept myself anyway.
And both these sides of myself
And both these sides of myself
that have their reasons,
that have their reasons,
even though they're really butting heads.
even though they're really butting heads.
Okay, through the points now. Money is super scarce,
Money's super scarce,
and it's really critical to my survival.
and it's really critical to my survival.
Of course, we need money to buy food and all that stuff.
Of course, we need money to buy food, pay the bills.
But on a more primal level,
But on a more primal level,
feels like money is key to my survival.
it feels like money is key to my survival.
The money itself feels important,
The money itself is important,
not just exchanging it for the important things.
not just exchanging it for the important things.
Because when it's time to do that,
Because when it's time to do that,
something in me starts feeling sick.
something in me starts feeling sick.
All this fear and anxiety.
All this fear and anxiety.
I can't let go of any money for this,
I can't let go of any money,
even though this is something I need.
even though it's something I need,
Even if it's food,
even if it's food.
it feels like I'm giving up something as important.
It feels like I'm giving up something as important.
Because food is everywhere.
Because food is everywhere.
Food literally grows on trees.
Food literally grows on trees.
And you know what they say about money.
And you know what they say about money?
Money is very scarce.
Money's very scarce.
All this feeling of tension.
All this feeling of tension.
Everywhere I learned that money was so scarce.
Everywhere I learned that money was so scarce.
There's people with an overabundance of money.
There's people with overabundance of money.
There is technically a lot of money in the world.
There is technically a lot of money in the world.
But that's not available to me.
But that's not available to me.
The amount of money I can have
The amount of money I can have
is very, very scarce.
is very, very scarce.
And I'm welcoming up that feeling of scarcity.
And I'm welcoming up that feeling of scarcity.
It feels like it's an absolute truth for me.
It feels like an absolute truth for me.
And maybe it was.
Maybe it is.
So I'm going to honor that.
So I'm going to honour that.
And I also am aware
And I'm also aware
that part of me does not feel safe having more.
part of me does not feel safe having more.
So to this part of me,
So this part of me,
it's actually better that it's a little scarce.
it's actually better if it's a little scarce.
Because if a bunch more were to come in,
Because if a bunch more was to come in,
that could be just as frightening.
that could be just as frightening.
So we got to stay right in this spot
So we've got to stay right in this spot.
where I'm still alive.
I'm still alive.
I still have a place to live and eat,
I still have a place to live and eat.
but I'm skating on that edge.
But I'm skating on that edge.
And while part of me is convinced
Well, part of me is convinced
that I'm doing all this work trying to create more money,
that I'm doing all this work trying to create more money.
it's very clear to me now
It's very clear to me now
that there's just as much energy pushing it away.
There's just as much energy pushing it away.
So I'm allowing myself to stand in the center here.
So I'm allowing myself to stand in the center here
Recognize this conflict.
and recognize this conflict.
Welcoming up that feeling of money is so scarce.
Welcoming up that feeling that money is so scarce.
Where did I learn this?
Where did I learn this?
What experiences have I had?
What experiences have I had
That part of me felt the need to latch onto
that the part of me felt the need to latch onto?
and said, yeah, money is very scarce.
Money is very scarce.
But we need to treat it that way.
And we need to treat it that way.
And if we start getting rid of any of it,
and if we start getting rid of any of it,
even for good reasons,
even for good reasons,
we need to make sure you feel really scared about that.
we want to make you feel really scared about that.
And maybe that made sense for a time.
And maybe that made sense for a time.
Maybe I needed that level of protection.
Maybe I needed that level of protection.
But I want to bring that front and center now.
But I want to bring that front and center now.
And say, okay, from where I'm at right now today,
Okay, from where I am right now today,
is it necessary to be that protective?
is it necessary to be that protective?
If we are a little more relaxed with spending,
if we are a little more relaxed with spending,
a little more open to receiving,
a little more open to receiving,
are we so sure that those consequences
are we just sure that those consequences
that we're protecting ourselves from
that we're protecting ourselves from
are going to happen?
are going to happen?
I'm clearing some of this belief
I'm clearing some of this belief
of all the imagined consequences
and all the imagined consequences.
of what's going to happen if we get some space here.
What's going to happen if we get some space here?
Am I really going to be so careless
Am I really going to be so careless
or so judged
or so judged
or so vulnerable?
or so vulnerable?
Maybe there are safe ways.
Maybe there are safe ways
To open up a little bit.
to open up a little bit.
We don't have to go crazy.
We don't have to go crazy.
It doesn't have to be $1 billion coming in at once.
It doesn't have to be $1 billion coming in at once.
I just want to see if it's okay to open up a little bit.
I just want to see if it's okay to open up a little bit.
What would it feel like
What would it feel like
to have a little more money coming in?
to have a little more money coming in?
Would that really have all the headaches attached to it
Would that really have all the headaches attached to it
that we're imagining?
that we were imagining?
Allowing myself to let go of more of those imagined consequences.
I'm allowing myself to let go of more imagined consequences.
And maybe they were real consequences once.
And maybe they were real consequences once.
But I want to ask my system
But I want to ask my system
to show to me, yeah, this could feel safe.
this could feel safe.
Having a little extra money to pay the bills
Having a little extra money to pay the bills
and go get a nice meal.
and go get a nice meal.
No one's going to start attacking me.
No one's going to start attacking me.
My family's not going to start hounding me for money.
My family's not going to start hounding me for money.
I want to find those places where I can open up.
I want to find those places where I can open up.
I want to drop these extremes.
And I want to drop these extremes.
I don't have to balance between imagined poverty
I don't have to balance between imagined poverty
and imagined billionaire.
and imagined billionaire.
and all the consequences of both.
of all the consequences of both.
It's fine to not be either of those things.
It's fine not to be not either of those things.
Letting go of any of this association,
Letting go of any of this association.
that it's one or the other.
It's one or the other. It has to be one or the other.
Allowing money to seem a little less scarce.
Allowing money to seem a little less scarce.
A little less scarce is fine for now.
A little less scarce is fine for now.
Let's get comfortable with that,
Let's get comfortable with that,
and we can see where it goes from there.
and we can see where it goes from there.
All right, just take a deep breath. And let me know how you're feeling, what's coming up.
Yeah, it sort of feels more relaxed. I still feel very nervous, like tight, but I realised that part of, because I owe money and there is not a lot of money coming in, I can't see any way of paying it back. And so every time I think of more money, I think of, oh, well, you owe this much, and I'm sort of just paying off the interest. And yeah.
Okay, so just tap a little more with me here.
Okay.
Money really is scarce.
Money really is scarce.
Because I'm starting from negative.
Because I'm starting from negative.
Whatever comes in just goes to the interest.
Just goes to the interest.
Now, what would be unsafe?
Now, what would be unsafe?
Of clearing this debt.
Of clearing this debt.
What would the downside be?
What would the downside be?
To the money that comes in.
To the money that comes in.
Actually being mine.
Actually being mine.
Because right now it's someone else's.
Because right now it's somebody else's.
Even when I get it.
Even when I get it.
Why is that more comfortable to part of me?
Why is that more comfortable to part of me?
What would the downside be for me being responsible for my own money? And then just let me know what comes up for you, if you get any kind of response to that.
Oh, that was funny. It was like, it'd be really good that whatever I got in, I could do whatever I wanted with. And then there was that feeling as I wouldn't be where I am now. Yeah. So.
Good.
Yeah. And I can see of all the things I'd like to do, and that gives me a really great feeling that there's something that wants to hold me where I am because I know where I am now, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Let's jump back in.
Okay.
Even though this is debt.
Even though this is debt.
I know this.
I know this.
I know how to navigate this.
I know how to navigate it. I've been doing it for years.
I know what this feels like.
I know what this feels like.
And to my nervous system.
And to my nervous system.
All it cares about.
All it cares about.
Is the fact that it knows what to do with this.
That it knows what to do with this.
It's safer to be where we know.
It's safer to be where we know.
Doesn't matter if it's happier.
It doesn't matter if it's happier.
I don't know what it feels like.
I don't know what it feels like.
To not be in debt.
To not be in debt.
Am I willing to find out?
Am I willing to find out?
Is it possible to do this safely?
Is it possible to do this safely?
What would that look like?
What would that look like?
And so I'm letting go of any of these fantasies
If I'm letting go of any of these fantasies
about manifesting lots of money,
of manifesting lots of money,
or just it all just goes away,
or it all just goes away,
because that's part of what keeps me here,
because that's part of what keeps me here,
because that's not real.
because that's not real.
What is a real and safe pathway?
What is a real and safe pathway?
What does that look like?
What does that look like?
Forget all this stuff about the universe
Forget all the stuff about the universe
or law of attraction.
or law of attraction.
My nervous system is more comfortable in debt,
My nervous system is more comfortable in debt,
and comfort is winning,
and comfort is winning,
and that's okay.
and that's okay.
It's good to know what's happening,
It's good to know what's happening,
because that's how we find the way out.
because that's how we find a way out.
And so the miracle cure
But the miracle cure
or getting lots of money,
or getting lots of money,
it's not a safe option.
it's not a safe option.
It wouldn't accept that even if it happened.
I wouldn't accept that even if it happened.
So let's work with the animal we're dealing with.
So let's work with the animal we're dealing with.
Okay, you feel comfortable here.
And I feel comfortable here.
What could we introduce
What could we introduce
where you still feel comfortable,
where you still feel comfortable,
but there's a little more money?
but there's a little more money?
And just hang out there for a second. And what's going on there?
Well, I feel a lot more relaxed. And
Good.
there's sort of, like, and there's a curiosity of what I could do to, nothing's coming, but at least there's a question mark.
Yes. That's important.
Mm. Mm.
Because the other stuff is not a question mark. It's an answer, right? Money's not safe. You can't have it. There's no flexibility there. There's no curiosity.
No.
And so I would keep approaching it from that angle.
Okay, that sounds good.
My system is comfortable here. That is what it is. It makes sense from its level.
Yeah.
And so just forget about these ideas of it just dropping that position, right? And embrace that position and say, okay, what do you need? The thing that it's doing is because it feels safe.
Yeah.
It's not actually anti-money.
No, I like money.
Yeah. It just knows the territory.
Yeah.
So as you can kind of help navigate it to, that curiosity is in my sort of approach, acronym I use that I don't think I've told anyone yet is curiosity is step one.
Right? Oh, okay.
If you can be curious, now that's when your system actually starts working. Otherwise, it's just, I can't have it. You can't have it. Oh, I want to try to get it. It's just these commands that hit brick walls. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks for diving in with me. All right. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon and keep us posted.
Thank you.
Okay, next up. Charlie, let me bring you up here. Hey there, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm off camera though, right? Oh yeah, I am. I am.
Yeah, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just so, I'm so appreciative of your skill,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I really am, and I'm very happy to be on this call.
I'm
So
glad you're here.
yeah, thank you, Evan. Well, I think that I have fibromyalgia and
Yeah.
arthritis, and I'm working very diligently on getting healthy and with the way I eat. I do certain exercises to really, but it's very I have to be very careful. But one of the things that I keep hitting up against, and I haven't been able to work it through in therapy at all, is that I happen to be very uncoordinated. That's the best way I can describe it. And maybe I feel that way more than I really am, but it's I'm always dropping things with my hands, and my hands are
Mm,
very painful,
wow.
and I cause a lot of messes, as a result of that accidentally. And I just have a tendency to beat myself up. And I know it's from childhood, from when, because, my mother was very narcissistic,
Hmm.
and she was, um, I think, I mean, from what I know, and she used to, beat me up verbally and everything. And then the kids in school wouldn't pick me on the ball games because I was,
Yeah.
the ball would hit my face and break my glasses every time. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It was like one of those. And so, but I was very coordinated and an athlete in my 20s. But the with this fibromyalgia, I'm just all over the place. So
yeah.
what I want to work on is this thing that I just can't seem to get away from is me beating myself up.
Okay. Mm,
And I just don't know what to do with it because I just feel so angry when that happens to me. And I'm
okay.
dropping things and spilling things. And it's kind of like dealing with a 3-year-old, it's constant like messes, you know.
Can you express um, a little of what that inner talk sounds like when you're beating yourself up and when something, say you just dropped something?
Well, usually it comes out verbally
Hmm.
because I'll say, oh, woman, you know what I mean? God damn it, woman, you know what I mean? I'll say something like that. But what's going on inside is just this anger and just feeling like, why can't I be like everybody else? Why can't
Okay.
I be more normal? When the truth is, there's already, there's a part of me that has reconciled that as far as most of the people and not most, but a certain degree of people in Los Angeles are fucking crazy,
Sure.
and you know what I mean, and are caffeinated out, and
Yep.
and
Totally.
or don't give a shit about other people. So that I've managed to reconcile. It's my physicality
Yeah.
that I'm like, why can't I be like another woman my age? Why can't
Mm,
I be athletic? Why can't I, you know, walk like a normal person?
yeah. Okay. So let's start with when your body is doing these things or not doing these things, depending on how you're um, looking at it. Hmm. What is, first of all, what is the meaning you give that about yourself?
That I'm not normal.
Not normal. Okay.
Hmm. And yet normal's not really normal. But I know that, but it's like my mother used to tell me that,
Okay.
that I was
Yeah.
abnormal. So there's something that's really like really tightly still in my
Mm,
psyche and even in my body, that I'm still buying into it, but it's so insidious that it's
yes.
just, I can't even, it's been really hard work with this. It's that insidious, you know.
You're cool. Do you want to do tapping, or do you have a other thing of choice?
Sure.
I know
I mean, I
you can
used to
rub
do
the
it,
points, right? Like just really
yeah,
lightly, or
I used to
um,
do it in 2004, and I don't know if it ever helped, but you know, I'm willing to try it again. You know,
well,
and
we
see
don't
what
have to
happens.
do. I couldn't remember. Oh, I remember what we were doing before. Yeah,
Yeah, but
um,
you know, tapping's fine. I'm open to it.
yeah. I'll
It,
just do it in a little different way here. Let's.
okay.
I, I want you to look at this. I'm going to call it my mom's definition of normal,
Okay.
and see if you can imagine yourself, or maybe you conceptualize it as like another a young girl,
Mhm.
how that at a certain age those types of things would get implanted, that it's not you're not at the place where you can kind of create your own definitions of the world, right?
Mhm.
And so someone telling you this is what a normal person does, this is what a normal dog does, right? That you are defenseless to kind of question or challenge, or "Oh, I disagree with that assessment," right? That at a young age that's going to get implanted in there. And even as you grow and mature and you can see logically, like you caught it immediately, where you said the thing that comes out of my mind first is you're not normal.
Right.
And you immediately catch, well, yeah, but what's normal, right? And that second part is like you as an adult seeing the sort of, well, yeah, who's to define what's normal, right? But that original impulse, the, and I want to stress my mom's definition of normal, right? And as this relates to beating yourself up, just take a moment and see for yourself, and maybe even say to yourself, I didn't do this. I didn't choose this definition.
And just say that inside myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was programmed into me. And recognizing that may not make it just disappear, but to recognize that it wasn't installed through logic, which is why looking at it logically doesn't really help alleviate that impulse. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So see if you can tune into the feeling of, oh, I'm not normal. And again, it's your mom's definition, but at that age, there's no distinction between, oh, that's just my mom's definition of normal.
And it was the kids' definition too at
Right.
school.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And of course, they're too, they don't have the maturity to process any of that either.
Yeah.
And so see if you can approach, or maybe visualize or see, the young girl that takes that on and now believes it. If a 6-year-old girl came up to you and just was sad, it's like, I'm not normal. Notice that you as an adult right now would say to her, oh, come on, hun, like what's normal anyway, right? see if you're able to provide a little bit of that energy, that recognition, like directly to the young you, or however you're perceiving it, as that took that on.
Okay.
Like, be to her what you would have been nice if your mom had said to you.
Okay.
And let me know if that's like not accessible or doesn't seem approachable or useful.
It is accessible.
Okay,
I'll just go in there and see what
cool.
happens.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah. What came up was let's see. But the little girl was just asking, well, when I was kind of talking about her mother, and that she's completely fine and beautiful just the way she is. She says, well, what about the kids in school? They feel the same way.
Yeah. Do you feel a response come up for you in that, of what you might say to that?
I'm sure I'll see what comes up. Mhm.
And just to throw in there, it's also totally okay to like acknowledge to her, like, yeah, this isn't fair, right?
Right.
Like, this sucks.
Yes.
So it doesn't feel like you're just, when people are like, oh, it's fine, you're like, no, it's
Not
not fine.
fine, exactly. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and go in there.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little bit better, but she's still unsure. And I even added that, if she wanted me ever to come and support her and talk to these kids, uh, that I'd be willing to do that.
Hmm.
Right.
Nice. I mean, and also the main thing is the fact that this conversation is even happening.
Right.
This is a far different like mode of operating than just like yelling at yourself. Right?
Yeah.
It's seeing that voice when you drop something, that's probably your mom's voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that definition of it's coming from that, well, that's not normal, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like I couldn't make my bed really well, and I still can't.
Mhm.
At my age, in my
Right.
50s, I still can't make my bed really well. It's just the way it is, but
Right.
she used to give me grades on it, and she'd give me an F.
Jesus.
I know she was. I re-
Jesus. Well,
I
yeah.
believe she was a narcissist in many ways.
Mhm.
I really do feel I'm starting to really come to that place that she was some kind of narcissist. And
Sounds like you have a good case.
yeah, oh, if you only knew. If you only knew. Oh my God. I mean, this woman really tortured me. And and up to this day, I mean, I tried like about 20 years ago to play volleyball,
Mhm.
and I ended up with a ball hitting my face again. And then when I tried to
Right.
punch it, over the net, it it was so severely painful in my wrist that I
Yeah.
was in horrible pain. And I just said, I'm getting out of this. You guys have
Yeah.
fun. Bye. I just couldn't, handle it, because I just you know,
Right.
couldn't. And this was like, well, more than 20 years, 21 years ago. It was 2000. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of navigating that conversation of, okay, yeah, this is what kind of she was thrust upon her, of here's this context that no kid would know how to process anyway. And instead of getting the support to help navigate, because yeah, the kids are going to be little bastards, right? Of course.
Yeah.
And you need something or someone to help you kind of navigate that, and to understand that something you did this is not a flaw in the sense that, like, oh, if you should have done something differently and then you wouldn't have had this,
Yeah.
right? to to help, kind of practice a bit with, okay, when I say when I see myself as like, oh, come on, woman, you just dropped something. It's like, see that little kid and see that this is the voice of your mom or society, which is pretty harsh, right? I mean,
Hmm.
human beings are not always known for just like, yeah, let's embrace the person who's, struggling right now. Um, and to kind of navigate that and be that guidance again. And like you noticed, it's not like this nonsense BS pep talk of, because nobody wants to hear that if they're really struggling. Just like, oh, you're going to be great. Like,
Right.
it's like, no, I want you to kind of process that this is different. I can't do like what that kid can do, and I need some context around this, you know, and to kind of help support it in that way. Just you imagine, somebody's born without an arm or something, like these types of things that happen, and it's not like all the kids are going to be super compassionate about that, you know.
That's
Um,
true. I mean, I've heard stories about, on YouTube, like, children with facial deformities and
sure,
kids just being so cruel. And it's
of
like,
course,
how dare you? I guess, it's like, yeah. And but I, I still don't know why just didn't have hand-eye coordination. I don't know. Who knows?
right. And but I would start with this and looking at it. I'm glad you brought that up again, because I forgot to go there with it. That the hand-eye coordination thing is part of that definition of normal, and that's why there's an extra meaning. It's not just, hey, I have, my eye coordination is not the same as, optimal.
Right.
Instead of that just being what it is, just like, hey, I have one arm, right? Like that's, um, and so there's certain things I have to adjust in order to do the same things. And there's drummers with one arm. There's people that do all sorts of amazing things. They just have to navigate that differently. But when it has that, instead of just being, okay, this is something with this body that I'm going to have to learn like how it feels and how to best navigate that and work with that in a sort of a compassionate way. Just like if you're injured or something, you know, I can't force my knee. I can't just say I'm going to run. It's like I'm going to hit the ground, right? Um, it's like, okay, this is what it is, and how do we work with that? But if it has that layer of, oh, a normal person would be able to do that. Now it's forget about it. Right?
I'm still feeling very like I don't know if I can. It's it's like a huge amount of anger that comes up when I drop things, and I still feel it inside me. You know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know
I'm,
if you want to do the tapping or if there's time. If there's not, I totally respect that.
let's do a short thing with that, and
Okay.
let's look at the anger here from the perspective of just really diving into it, right? So I'm just going to kind of go right into the points. You idiot.
Okay. Oh, I say it after you,
Yeah,
right?
if you want. Yeah, yeah.
You idiot.
I can't believe you dropped that.
I can't believe you dropped that.
I'm so mad at me.
I'm so mad at me.
I'm so mad at this body.
I'm so mad at this body.
And I would be saying this with much more profanity right now.
I would be saying this with much more profanity right now.
I'm just toning down the language for the call.
I am toning down the language for this call.
But inside, I'm letting it all erupt.
But inside, I'm letting it all erupt.
The anger at myself.
Anger at myself.
The anger at the body.
Anger at the body.
Anger at the thing I dropped.
Anger at the thing I dropped.
Anger at life for being unfair.
Anger at life being unfair.
And who or whatever caused this.
Who or whatever caused it.
I'm allowing all of this anger to come up.
I'm allowing this anger to come up.
I'm not trying to calm it down.
I'm not trying to calm it down.
And to anyone out there with their techniques,
And anyone out there with their techniques,
trying to manage the anger,
trying to manage the anger,
they can go screw.
they can go screw themselves.
Because they don't know what this feels like.
They don't know what this feels like.
And so I'm welcoming up all of this feeling.
I'm welcoming all this feeling.
No resistance to it.
No resistance to it.
No rationalizing it.
No rationalizing it.
No need to edit it.
No need to edit it.
I'm going to allow myself to follow this anger.
I'm going to allow myself to follow this anger
All the way to its source.
all the way to its source.
Because whatever is so angry
Because whatever is so angry
has a right to be.
has a right to be.
But maybe there's some things that it might want.
Maybe there's some things it might want.
It might want to be heard,
Want to be heard,
be understood.
be understood.
We're going to be open about that.
We're going to be open about them.
Whatever might be useful.
Whatever might be useful.
Not from the standpoint of getting rid of the anger.
Not, I'm sorry, say that again.
Not from the standpoint
Not from the standpoint
as a technique to get rid of the anger.
as a technique to get rid of anger.
but to truly understand where it's coming from.
But to truly understand where it's coming from
And what might help support it.
and what might help support it.
And even if it's always going to be angry,
Even if it's always going to be angry,
maybe it's possible
maybe it's possible
to relax the judgment of myself
to relax the judgment of myself
for getting angry.
for getting angry.
Hey, a part of me gets really pissed off when I drop something.
Part of me gets really pissed off when I drop something.
Maybe that's okay.
Maybe that's okay.
Maybe it's not a character defect in me.
It's not a character defect.
Chances are pretty good
Chances are pretty good
that for most people,
that for most people,
if this happened regularly,
if this happened regularly,
they'd be pretty pissed off too.
they would be pretty pissed off too.
So I don't need their advice about this.
I don't need their advice about that.
But just like with all that other stuff,
Just like with all that other stuff,
this reaction of anger
this reaction of anger
is not abnormal.
is not abnormal.
There's nothing wrong with me for having this.
There's nothing wrong with me.
It's a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction.
So if I come at it without the judgment,
So if I come at it without the judgment,
there may actually be some things
there actually might be some things
that anger could benefit from.
that anger can benefit from,
That might help it feel a little more understood,
to help it feel a little more understood,
maybe a little less need to be so vocal.
a little bit less need to be so vocal.
But if that's not the case,
But if that's not the case,
I'm going to let it erupt
I will let it erupt
without latching on to that eruption
without latching on to that eruption
as meaning something bad about me.
as meaning something bad about me.
I don't have to feel bad
I don't have to feel bad
about the fact that I got angry.
that I got the fact that I got angry.
What's that going to help?
What's that gonna help?
Well, at least I felt bad about it.
Well, at least I felt bad about him.
You don't need to feel bad about it.
You don't need to feel bad about it.
So let's just start from there.
Let's just start from there.
And let the anger guide us
The anger guide us
to what, if anything, it needs.
to what, and if anything, it needs.
Just take a deep breath from there. And just see if your own, at least, relationship to that anger has anything coming up for you.
Okay. Well, it has softened,
Hmm.
and I feel more relaxed. But I'm still, not not completely trusting that I won't get really pissed off. I mean,
Sure.
and that's, I guess, like you said during the EFT, is like, just it'll let it be there, but I'm still not trusting because of the trauma of it, because that kid part always feels very traumatized afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm not even looking at it like, oh, okay, this is successful if you don't get angry again. It's more like, okay, after you get angry, can you beat yourself up less about the fact that you got angry?
Okay.
That's an easier position to start from. Because yeah, I mean, I get angry when I drop something. And, it's like start from, okay, but how did I? Okay, I got angry. I got over it. I'm not carrying it. I'm not. Why did I get so angry? What's wrong with me? Starting with seeing if that can start to calm down a little bit, and when that anger comes up, say, yeah, like embrace it. Okay, yeah, you're really pissed off. Is there anything else here? Anything we can do? Right.
So like the aftermath,
Yes.
kind of. Okay.
I
We'll
think the
probably
bar
take.
would be a little high to say, okay, I just won't get angry anymore from
Oh yeah, that's
from one
really.
tapping or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't want to rule it out, but
Yeah, it's like one little step at a time. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully that was helpful.
I really appreciate it, Evan. I really
Yeah,
do.
nice to talk to you again.
Yes. Thank you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate everything.
My pleasure. All right, Marie. Let's bring you up.
Hi, wow.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Those were two powerful sessions. So thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome.
So I would be so grateful for some assistance around, some goals that I'm working on, but that I'm finding like I'm kind of resisting and rebelling a little bit against. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to just put more away in savings. And so I'm trying to, like have a more mindful budget. And so I'm just noticing that like a part of me feels overwhelmed and is like rebelling and overspending, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to same thing, I'm just trying to just be more mindful of, and trying to track a little bit of, what I'm eating. And like, so there's this kind of like resistance and rebellion going on.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I need to maybe release that or lessen that.
Awesome. So just close your eyes for a sec. Just take a nice breath. And just say, don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do.
Does that resonate with anything going on in there?
Yeah, that has an intensity of a 9.
Okay.
9, 10.
Okay, cool. So let's just jump right into some points here.
Okay.
And say, don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do.
This is my money.
This is my money.
I earned it.
I earned it.
This is the food I want right now.
This is the food I want right now.
This would make me feel good.
This will make me feel good.
I don't need you coming in here
I don't need you coming in here
telling me not to have it
telling me not to have it
because of some goal you have.
because of some goal you have.
What's this goal for?
What's this goal for?
Why is this goal really so important?
Why is this goal really so important?
I clearly don't buy it yet.
I clearly don't buy it yet.
I'm not on board with the vision here.
I'm not on board with the vision.
What is the vision?
What is the vision?
Why are you saving this money?
Why are you saving this money?
And why is that worth
Why is that worth
denying me something right now?
denying me something right now?
Same with food.
Same with food.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced.
What is the goal here?
What is the goal here?
And why is it so important?
And why is it so important?
All right, a pause there. And did that do anything? And do you have sort of a response to the part of you that does have these goals? Like, what would its argument be why this matters?
Yeah, it was helpful because there's part of me that just feels like I should, and then there's part of me with like genuine, good, healthy, and empowering reasons. But it feels
Nice.
like I'm kind of battling with the should, and that part of me feels disconnected from being in alignment with those healthier, empowering reasons.
Okay, cool. Let's start with the should part of it then. And just going right into the points again, saying, I should do this.
I should do this.
This is something I'm supposed to do.
This is something I'm supposed to do.
This is what a good, successful person would do.
This is what a good, successful person would do.
So I need this kind of motivation,
So I need this kind of motivation,
an external source.
an external source
It says, I'm supposed to do this.
that says I'm supposed to do this.
According to who?
According to the experts,
Okay, good. So according to the experts, I'm supposed to do this.
I'm supposed to do this.
So I should do it.
So I should do it.
And there's nothing human beings love more
And there's nothing human beings love more
than being told what to do
than being told what to do
by an authority figure.
by an authority figure.
So maybe it's not so surprising.
So maybe it's not so surprising.
That part of me says, no.
That part of me says, no,
I'm not listening to that person.
no, I'm not listening to that person.
And a lot of experts are full of it.
And a lot of experts are full of it.
I've met experts that are full of it.
I've met experts that are full of it.
So I'm going to rebel against that.
So I'm going to rebel against them.
But I want to look at something here.
I want to look at something here.
Do I need any of this?
Do I need any of this?
I think somewhere deep down,
I think somewhere deep down,
I have my own genuine motivation for this.
I have my own genuine motivation for this.
I want to do this
I want to do this
because I want to.
because I want to.
And that sure feels different.
And that sure feels different.
If I want to do something,
If I want to do something,
it's kind of hard to rebel against that.
it's kind of hard to rebel against that.
If this person's telling me to do it,
If this person is telling me to do it,
I can't wait to rebel against that.
I can't wait to rebel against that.
But if I have my own motivation,
But if I have my own motivation,
do I need anything else?
do I need anything else?
Would it be okay to drop this?
Would it be okay to drop this?
I don't need an expert.
I don't need an expert.
I don't need anyone to validate my desires.
I don't need anyone to validate my desires.
My goals and ambitions
My goals and ambitions
do not need the credibility
do not need the credibility
of an expert.
of an expert.
And maybe that's why part of me
And maybe that's why part of me
rebels when that comes up.
rebels when that comes up.
Marie, you don't need them.
Marie, you don't need them.
You are the authority.
You are the authority.
You've earned that.
You've earned that.
You do this for you.
You do this for you.
You do this because you want to do it.
You do this because you want to do it.
And as soon as you start giving away any of that authority,
And as soon as you start giving away any of that authority,
I'm going to remind you
I'm going to remind you
by making you not want to do it.
by making you not want to do it.
But that's all I'm doing here.
But that's all I'm doing here.
You've got your good reasons.
You've got your good reasons,
So focus on those.
to focus on those.
And anywhere else in your life
And anywhere else in your life,
where you give someone more credit than yourself,
when you give someone more credit than yourself,
you can drop that too.
you can drop that too.
You don't need that.
You don't need that.
Maybe you thought you did once,
Maybe you thought you did once,
but you don't need it anymore.
but you don't need it anymore.
Your own motivation, not only is it enough,
Your own motivation, not only is it enough,
it's the best and only thing that matters.
it is the best and only thing that matters.
All right. Pause there. Take a deep breath.
So that felt really freeing and empowering.
Good.
There was one little piece that came up, kind of like the woman that went first, like with them. So I have these savings goals, or I'm trying to, eat a little bit better, but it does like I think the final like hinging piece. So that does tend to trigger a feeling of deprivation. So I think that's part of the like rebellion, right? Like
Yeah.
the deprivation feeling going on.
So describe the feeling of deprivation in the way that you experience it.
So just with the savings goal, it's like, okay, so there's less money to spend on certain things I would, do without the savings goal, so there's things I'm going to be doing without I don't eat like a ton of sugar as it is anyway, but like when I do, I enjoy it. But I'm just like I'm trying to eat less, so it's like, oh, I can't. So this is like I can't have what I really want, like, and then that interferes with my goals, right? Like it's like it feels like it's set up like a lose-lose situation or win-lose situation. So I'd like to get to where it feels like win-win and I don't get triggered into like, oh, well, I don't have this money to spend on that, or oh, I can't even have that, like one piece of chocolate, because like that deprivation, like I think feeds the rebellion.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Just say to yourself, I need to deprive myself to reach my goals.
I need to deprive myself to reach my goals. Yeah, that feels true, like a 10.
Okay, let's go to the side of the hand for this one. Even though I have to deprive myself to reach my goals.
Even though I have to deprive myself to reach my goals,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have to deprive myself.
Even though I have to deprive myself.
In order to move forward.
In order to move forward.
That's just the way this works.
That's just the way this works.
I have to not only deprive myself.
I have to not only deprive myself.
But feel bad about it.
But feel bad about it.
Which triggers that rebellion.
Which triggers that rebellion.
But hey, that's just how growth happens.
But hey, that's just how growth happens.
And so even though I believe that.
So even though I believe that.
I choose to love and forgive myself.
I choose to love and forgive myself.
Even though I have to deprive myself to reach my goals.
Even though I have to deprive myself to reach my goals.
It's a necessary component.
It's a necessary component.
Because That's part of the discipline.
because that's part of the discipline.
That's what makes it work.
That's what makes it work.
And that's what makes it worth something.
That's what makes it worth something.
Without that sense of deprivation,
Without that sense of deprivation,
this couldn't be a real accomplishment.
this couldn't be a real accomplishment.
And no pain, no gain,
No pain, no gain,
no easy shortcuts.
no easy shortcut.
And so even though I believe I can't get these goals
So even though I believe I can't get these goals
without depriving myself,
without depriving myself,
I choose to love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love, honor, and accept myself.
And whoever taught me that.
And whoever taught me this,
Okay, through the points here, I have to deprive myself
I have to deprive myself
if I want to make real progress.
if I want to make real progress.
That's the path.
That's the path.
That's the honorable path.
That's the honorable path.
And that's the way to a real result.
And that's the way to a real result.
And part of me may believe
Part of me may believe
that that's actually how we know
that's actually how we know
that we're moving forward.
that we're moving forward.
Wow, you feel terrible.
Wow, you feel terrible.
You really have deprived yourself today.
You really have deprived yourself today.
That means you did a good job.
That means you did a good job.
That means it's going to pay off later.
That means it's going to pay off later.
Because this is all transactional.
This is all transactional.
The worse I feel now,
The worse I feel now,
the better I get to feel later.
the better I get to feel later.
Letting go of all this belief
Letting go of all of this belief
that that's how this works.
that that's how this works.
And there is a certain logic to it.
And there's a certain logic to it.
Of course, you get up and you exercise.
Of course, you get up and you exercise.
And if you do that even when you don't want to,
And if you do that even when you don't want to,
you'll probably see some results.
probably see some results.
There is value in doing things
There is value in doing things
that you don't necessarily want to do all the time.
that you don't necessarily want to do all the time.
But that's not the same as deprivation.
But that's not the same as deprivation.
There's no bonus points
There's no bonus points
for making it really uncomfortable.
for making it really uncomfortable.
You don't progress any faster
You don't progress any faster
because you've made a really painful sacrifice.
because you've made a really painful sacrifice.
It might even make some sense
It might even make some sense
that the worse you feel about this,
that the worse you feel about this,
the harder it will be to sustain,
the harder it will be to sustain.
and the harder it will be to make progress.
The harder it will be to make progress.
So some of these things I feel I need to deprive myself.
So some of these things I feel I need to deprive myself.
Maybe I can look at this a different way.
Maybe I can look at this a different way.
So, of course,
So of course,
this doesn't mean, okay, now we just go eat pie whenever we want it.
this doesn't mean we go eat pie whenever we want it,
Or just eat whatever we feel at any moment.
or eat whatever we feel at any moment.
But letting go of any idea
But letting go of any idea
that these are the only two options.
that these are the only two options.
There are ways to game the system here.
There are ways to game the system here.
There's a way to not eat something.
Say that one more time.
There are ways to not eat something
Okay, there are ways to not eat something
that I can substitute
that I can substitute
with something else
with something else
that may be 85% better for me.
that that may be 85% better for me,
but don't make me feel horrible.
but don't make me feel horrible.
Maybe that's going to work better.
Maybe that's going to work better.
The sense of feeling deprived
The sense of feeling deprived
doesn't help the cause.
doesn't help the cause.
And even if it's technically better,
And even if it's technically better,
say, okay, I ate 0 sugar.
to say I ate 0 sugar,
I ate nothing but raw kale and salmon.
I ate nothing but raw kale and salmon.
Maybe in a textbook that would be great.
Maybe in a textbook that would be great.
But if it's not sustainable
But if it's not sustainable,
and makes me feel bad,
it makes me feel bad.
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
So I'm allowing myself to let go
So I'm allowing myself to let go
of any of this belief
of any of this belief
that the deprivation helps anything.
that the deprivation helps anything.
I can change the behavior,
I can change the behavior.
but that's an art form.
That's an art form.
It's not just let's deprive myself of everything,
It's not, let's just deprive myself of everything,
because that's the only way to reach the goal.
because that's the only way to reach the goal.
If I eat even a little healthier,
If I eat even a little healthier,
but I can do it for a month,
but I can do it for a month,
I'm gonna be that much healthier.
I'm going to be that much healthier.
And then my tastes will change,
And then my taste will change.
my body will change.
My body will change.
It will start to naturally want different things.
It will start to naturally want different things.
This is a process.
This is a process.
It's possible to adjust.
It's possible to adjust.
It's possible to actually change your desires
It's possible to actually change your desires
in ways that are healthy and natural,
in ways that are healthy and natural,
that don't leave me feeling deprived
that don't leave me feeling deprived
or rebellious.
or rebellious.
So instead, I'm going to look for solutions.
So instead, I'm going to look for solutions,
Not how much can I deprive myself,
not how much I can deprive myself,
but hey, how can I adjust for these goals
but hey, how can I adjust for these goals
in a way that I can stand?
in a way that I can stand?
And that the solution exists.
And the solution exists.
The universe is sophisticated enough
The universe is sophisticated enough
for there to be a way for me to eat better
for there to be a way for me to eat better
and enjoy it.
and enjoy it.
Earth is capable of that.
Earth is capable of that.
Just letting go of the beliefs
Just letting go of the beliefs
that keep me from finding those solutions.
that keep me from finding those solutions.
So I get to enjoy moving towards my goals
So I get to enjoy moving towards my goals
and feeling good about it
and feeling good about it.
might actually make it happen faster,
Might actually make it happen faster,
contrary to that old belief.
contrary to that old belief.
All right, take a deep breath.
Wow, thank you so much. That unlocked a lot. I didn't realize till tapping how locked in black and white that kind of paradigm was. So yeah, I just feel really at peace with it and that it's possible and that it can feel good.
Yeah, for me, I can't imagine just eating like spinach and kale and avocado in a bowl like every morning. That does not sound appealing to me, right? But if I put all that stuff in a blender with like unsweet almond milk and a couple little things, none of which have any sugar, right? Maybe like this much like blueberry stuff, which isn't like artificially sweetened. I love it. I eat it every day. But if you were to tell me some years ago, like, okay, you have to eat spinach and kale, I'd be like, there's no way I could sustain that. Right? But there's a way to get that in me, and I actually look forward to it. And not adding all this sugar. I'm not. It's just okay. How do I eat healthy and like it? Right? When that's the goal, it's such a different internal process. Because the whole thing where you're like, oh, I want that, but you know what? I fought through and I managed to not eat the things that make me happy today. That is an accomplishment for sure, but it's those are hard to sustain, and your system is fighting you a lot through it.
Right.
And of course, depending on what you're dropping, there may be some things, you just have to drop. But even that doesn't mean, okay, just total deprivation. It's like, okay, so maybe you don't have that exact thing, but okay, well, what felt so good about that? And I've been surprised to find things out there that like, oh, that kind of scratches that itch, but it's basically made from a plant, Like the stuff is out there, and it's not necessarily crazy expensive. It's just, I really do think it just appears because it just shows up. It's kind of crazy. It's like something out there goes, okay, he wants that particular texture and thing in his mouth, but he wants to eat healthy. And suddenly you're watching a show or you're walking on a street and there's some street food, and it's like, half the stuff I eat I didn't even never heard of when I was a kid.
No, that's really helpful. Because I think that's kind of ingrained in our society.
Totally.
And so it takes some digging and some EFT to unplug from that paradigm.
Totally. But yeah, it's a much more enjoyable path and more sustainable, I think.
Yeah, because I was kind of resenting. It's like these are some like I had these goals with noble intent, but I was like resenting them at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, because the assumption is, well, there goes everything I enjoy.
Thank you so much. All of it was extraordinary. Thank you,
Awesome.
Thank you. And I'll be sending in a donation. So grateful for your expertise and your generosity in sharing all of this.
Wow, that's very nice of you. Well, thanks for a call wouldn't happen without you. So thanks for being here and raising your hand. Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, we're just about 90 minutes now. So I think that is good. It's good for me. I did 2 of these today, so I think I am processed out for the moment. And unless anyone has any other questions or anything, I'm happy to, answer any questions or take anything on, but not necessarily do any full rounds. So I will hang out for a sec in case anyone has anything else they would like to ask. I will type that into the chat. Thank you. innerworkcoach.com/donate. Let me click on that and make sure that actually works. Yes, it appears to work. Cool. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Great. Well, I think that's it. Are any of you in the group I might see tomorrow? I might see 1 or 2 of you tomorrow. that are doing the GP's EFT training. So for everyone else, thanks so much for being here with me. Keep in touch. You can keep in touch on the Facebook group, or any of the other ways that you can reach me. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good rest of your day or night, wherever you are. All right. Take care.